day, my children! As I said last year, we're pretty much done with talking about the House of Mystery ongoing series, since it moved so far from horror. But we've still got Elvira's series to talk about! Elvira's getting moved into the House of Mystery, whom she can talk to. The house wants and needs her to locate Kane, the former caretaker, but she admits she'd rather just stay in than do any traveling to find him. Still, the house explains what happened to their former partnership. That faithless greedmongers made a successful claim on the house and its surrounding countryside. Their investments eventually died out, but Kane had been removed from his position as caretaker of the house. Still, the pressure of the job was getting to him, a situation brewing that was bigger than even he could handle. Elvira points out that a lot of guys have a hard time handling their first big situation. Or in the case of some guys who hit on Elvira, their every little situation. And thus Kane left to travel the world, breaking all ties to the house. As Elvira points out, thanks to the storytelling power of the house, Kane could be anywhere or anytime. As such, to act as a guide for two possibilities in Japan, death itself appears to guide her through these stories. The first being the samurai condemned to live. As the undead, I can think of no worse punishment. The year is 1004, and there was relative peace in Japan. Samurai were no longer needed to wage wars, so they roamed the land, causing problems and pillaging villages far and wide. One day, a samurai, Nobutaka, witnesses a maid killing herself upon seeing him. He is affected by the suicide, feeling like his own evil ways were responsible for making an innocent die. The goddess of the lotus appears to him in a dream, commanding him to stop evildoers with his sword, or else he will never find peace in this world or the next. He pledges himself to do just that, his sword seeming to take on a life of its own in service to that vow. He tries to get other samurai to join him, but they refuse, thinking he has gone mad, and he is forced to slaughter them. Still, the villagers he saves are more than grateful and happy to know that he is out there delivering justice. But time passes until the legendary Nobutaka is an old man, still sworn to his quest, but feeling the passage of time on him for it. A man named Miyobu stabs him in the back, wanting to be known as a great warrior, and at first the villagers want to tear him apart for killing him in such a dishonorable fashion, but Nobutaka claims it was a fair fight, passing on his sword and armor to him so that he may stamp out evil as well. To Miyobu's frustration, the sword was his master instead of the other way around, leading him to continue the quest. And with his own new notoriety, he grew terrified that another version of him would take his life as he took Nobutaka's. Miyobu was driven to fight and slay a terrible dragon that threatened many people, and in his victory, he seemed to be free of the curse. But then his sword swung back around and slayed him, since this was the final evil of the land to be removed. This is why killing is best done with scythes like the Grim Reaper. Scythes don't give you this kind of trouble. And speaking of death, Elvira is taken on a second journey through Japan in a story that's frankly derivative of another old story, but hey, it follows a great theme. The samurai who surprised death. A brash young man named Senzu wanted to become a samurai for a lord, eventually managing to prove his skills. But once again, this was a time of peace in Japan, so there were no battles for him to prove his worth. Eventually, a war broke out and Senzu was ready to stand and fight in battle, until battle actually came, and he realized how chaotic and terrifying it was. Even spotting death himself in the battle, Senzu fled, wondering why death was staring so intently at him. But as time passed, his food was like ashes in his mouth. Realizing that he had betrayed his code by fleeing from battle and death, he ventured out to restore his honor, soon finding drunken mercenaries harassing some villagers. He intervened, but found himself shot in the heart with an arrow. He beheld death again, and explained that he was confused to see Senzu at that battle, because he knew he'd be taking him today at this location. Elvira is not impressed with these stories beyond thinking that the samurai were very much like cowboys of the Old West. And since they couldn't find Kane in either of those tales, perhaps they should jump forward a bit and see some tales from the Old West. But that is a comic for another day, my children. For now, Elvira is just getting settled into her new home, with even greater stories from the House of Mystery for her to press her chest into.